The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, aka the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? I'm Bobby, I'm the host of the Exit Strategy, and today we got a great show. We got Manny, who's coming on. I've known Manny for, over 2 years now?
Yeah, about that.
Around that. Yep, and Manny's gonna share with us, his experience and, his journey of recovery and how he's turned his life pretty much completely around ever since I've known you. So you wanna talk a little bit about, your story, where you come from, that kind of thing?
Yeah. How long am I supposed to talk for?
Just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I grew up in like California and in poverty, and wasn't like the wealthiest family ever. And I mean, like it really started with like acting out and like getting outside of myself with like trying to fit in and like violence and all of that stuff, and like I wanted to be like loved at the end of the day, and I couldn't find that in my own house, so I searched for it, and it led to me like getting arrested all the time, and then led me to like doing drugs and doing all that to try to fit in.
So just acceptance at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly, and trying to be accepted and trying to find the missing pieces.
And what do you think those missing pieces were? Just acceptance, or because like I hear that a lot from other people in recovery. Like I was trying to fill this kind of like void.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You hear it a lot, like this void. So like, what was that void for you?
I mean, the void for me was the lack of a stable household and lack of love in that household. So I mean, I searched for it outside, and once I found drugs, I didn't have to search for it no more.
So if you're from California, like how'd you end up in New Hampshire?
My mother grew up in Vermont, and she lived out there after she was a teenager. She moved out there, and when my grandmother passed away, I was really deep into drugs, and my mother thought if she could move me away from California, she can get me to get sober and everything.
Yeah, so that geographic here.
Yeah.
Like if I just leave like Cali or Connecticut or wherever you're from, Mass, like I'll be fine.
Exactly.
I don't know where to get anything. Like I'll just be perfectly fine.
Exactly.
So I'm guessing that didn't happen.
No.
No?
Not at all.
No.
No. I picked up right where I left off.
Okay.
I picked up here, and it did the same exact things, and it only got worse.
Okay. So what kind of started this run of sobriety for you? Because I know you got some serious time now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that's amazing. That's a miracle in of itself. But like, what was that start point for you to be like, okay, I really need the help, so I'm gonna do this?
Well, I was doing a lot of bad things when I was using, and like committing crimes and everything like that, and I got caught, and some of them were catching up to me, and like I had a sudden moment of clarity where I realized my son was 2 years old and I couldn't see him for Christmas, and I wasn't a part of his life, and I told myself I'd be exact opposite of my father and give my son what I didn't have, and like I was doing exactly what my father did, and I turned out to be my father,
Yeah.
And that moment of clarity gave me the motivation and like desperation, the gift of desperation to try to get sober.
No. And like that's just crazy for me to think, because I've known you for so long, and you're like one of the nicest people I've ever met. Like genuinely hilarious and just like a good guy. So like to hear you saying like, I was doing a lot of bad things, like that's insane to me, and like that's what this disease does.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like I was doing fucked up shit too.
Right.
And like that's crazy. You know what I mean? Because like that's not how I live my life today. You
Yeah.
know, and like I see you how you live your life, and that's not how you live your life. And it's just like one of those things that I feel like a lot of people can't distinguish of somebody who's an addict and who's doing these things to like survive, but they're still a good person at the end of the day, and then them just lumping them together. It's like, oh, they're all, you know,
Right.
and like that whole stigma thing comes in.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, nothing I want to do, but it's what I have to do to
Yeah.
get my next fix, you know?
Yeah. And like I feel like that's not something people can kind of like hear logically, but they don't really understand.
Right.
Because
exactly.
like when you say that, like I know exactly what you mean.
Right, but if you say that to my family
Yeah.
just thinks that I'm just, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm just using it as an excuse.
Yeah, but it's not, you know what I mean? And it's
No.
like that thing. That's why I love this show is the fact that, you know, I see you as, you know, you do so much in the community to help. You know what I mean? I've seen you help so many people along the way, and I know so many people that look up to you. And that's who you are. It's not what you did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, you know, I get what you're saying. You know. So I know, so you had that gift of desperation, right? Where'd you go with it from there?
I mean, I started treatment, you know, I started treatment in Nashua, and like, it didn't happen overnight. I didn't do the right thing overnight, but I felt after like being sober for like 3 months, I felt the same way I was feeling when I was getting high, you know, and I decided to make a change and hang around with people that were doing the right thing, because I always thought I was incapable of staying sober. You know, I thought that I was that addict that couldn't do it.
Yeah, that constitutionally incapable.
Yeah.
That you hear everybody uses kind of like a, I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
So what did life turn into from that moment? Because I did the same thing in early sobriety, easily impressionable.
Yeah.
You know, you want to hang out with the cool kids. You want those new pair of Jordans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want those tattoos. Like, that's
Right.
what I want to do. And,
Right.
like, once I figure out that that doesn't fill that void
Right.
that I still have, you know, that void from when I was a kid, the void that you were just talking about, you know, and, like, make that real change. Like, how did your life improve after that?
Drastically. I mean, my whole life changed, my whole outlook on life, my whole perception, my whole outlook of like life being out more than outside of myself, like the beauty of life, and like finding ways that fill my spirituality, my soul, you know, because I've never done that. I don't know who I am, or at least I didn't for the longest time, you know, and I was too too driven by ego and pride to do anything that I thought I would like, because I based it off others' opinions, you know?
Yeah. So, because I know what you're saying, and I know for me, like, what I realized was, like, I wasn't my own person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't honest to myself about who I was.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was whatever Bobby, whoever I was hanging out with, wanted me to be.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember talking about it was like, I have a family Bobby, you know, I have a friend's Bobby, I have a work Bobby, and then, like,
Right.
when I go cop and all that shit, like, I got a hood Bobby.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And, like, now I'm just Bobby.
Exactly.
And, like, now you're just Manny.
Exactly. And it took a long time. It took a lot of soul searching. And it took a lot of like self work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like focusing on myself and like learning how to sit with self, and like being a father. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I only knew what my father taught me, and it wasn't anything good. You know? And I just started spending every weekend with my son and going to 12-step meetings during the week, and like doing what was suggested and what people that have great lives suggested me to do. You know what I mean? Follow through their path and like find things that bring me joy and make me happy, like nature and all these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started spending more times with that, like doing things like that. You know?
Yeah. So, because I know that sounds a lot like mine. Like, I don't have a kid, but minus that part. But, like, you know, listening to people that had what I wanted. You know what I mean? Seeing people that were really present in their own lives and, like, asking them how they got it and doing what they did. Why do you think that's, like, a problem for some people?
I think it's more of like getting vulnerable. I think is a sign of weakness for a lot of people, like it was for me for a long time.
Yeah.
I thought, like for me personally, and I figured for a lot of people that are addicts is like don't want to admit that they don't know what to do, you know,
Yeah.
and ask for help and put themselves out there. You know what I mean? People want to put on the persona that they're fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They got it in the bag.
Yeah, it's the biggest lie we tell.
Exactly, because
I'm
I've
fine.
done it. I've done it several times.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like the biggest way you can change your life. At least for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That was once I started doing that, I found like a new sense of freedom. You know, within myself. You know.
Yeah, no, I do. So, like, would you say that's the biggest, like, suggestion you have to, like, maybe anybody who's struggling out there who's watching or, you know?
Yeah, I would suggest. Getting people in whoever it is life that are doing the right thing, that they have what they want. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
people that they can look up to that won't tell them to do stupid things. You know what I mean? Or suggest or co-sign or anything. You know what I mean? Because that's what I did. And when I started hanging out with men that have time and do the right thing, like I started learning how to become a man. You know?
No.
I wanna,
Isn't that crazy?
it is.
It's so crazy for me to say, like, especially, like, I know for me when I came in, just be, like, fact of, like, you know, I was 22 when I came in, but it's just, like, I'm still a scared kid.
I know.
And, like, everybody's like, you're a grown man, you're a grown, and I'm like, no,
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
Teach me.
Right.
I don't know how to be this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, for you to say that, too, is just, like, huge.
Yeah, and that's like the starting point. And once you develop like some time, you like start getting outside of the program and find things that are also going to feed spirituality. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because you can't be, I mean, if you have the time, that's really great to be completely indulged in a program. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But sometimes you can't. And like coping skills and things like that. You know what I mean? Like me for nature, like I get upset, I get pissed off, I go spend a little bit of time with nature. And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Finding those things out, but I didn't find them out for a while. You know what I mean? And
No.
now it's like I got like all these list of things that I can do to make me feel better that aren't gonna aren't detrimental.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I get exactly what you're saying. And that's, like, huge, too, because you just said, like, I can't be in a program forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, like, that's a thing that I see a lot, too, is people get scared
Yeah.
about, I'm only able to do this in a program. But, like, what you're just talking about, like, finding other things, like, learning those skills, learning those tools that actually do help. You know, because that's what keeps me going,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And, you know, you're talking about, you know, you had men to look up to that, like, showed you how to be a man. Like, and I see you as that person now who shows other young men, like, how to be a man. So, like, what does that feel like for you?
It feels really good. It does feel really good. It doesn't only like help them, it helps me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I was taught a long time ago that if you gain some time and you're doing the right thing, it's a selfish thing not to give back. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
people gave to you when you came in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or for me at least. You know what I mean? So
Really
like
get
why
what was-
why walk away and not be able to do it back for
Yeah.
somebody? You know? But it's a really great feeling because I'm used to taking, never giving or being like, you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
helping anybody. So it's a really great feeling, and it like feeds my soul also. You know?
Awesome. And now, like, we talked a little bit outside before, like, that's kind of what you're, like, parlaying into your, like, work life now, too, right?
Yeah.
So you're a recovery advocate, obviously, but you're also working in the field.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel? Like, how do you that at the end of the day?
It makes me feel really good, man, because I never thought that I would have that opportunity. I never
Yeah.
thought that I'd be able to sit in the seat, you know? And it also reminds me, and I can see the pain of the people that are clients, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can see the pain, and it reminds me of where exactly I'll be and what I'll have to redo all over again if I dare try to go back, you
Yeah.
know? But it's the same thing of like giving it away, you know what I mean? It also helps, you know what I mean? And it makes me feel better because I can have a conversation with somebody and you never know the impact, you know? Like people did for me when I was in treatment, you know?
Same with me.
Yeah.
Just that one person to be able to talk to that kind of gets it
Exactly.
and just be like, all right, buddy, you're not alone.
Right.
You know, I know it's terrible right now, but, like,
Exactly.
you're going to see when you get through this, you're going to either A, learn something, or B, if it ever happens again, it's not so bad because you know you get through it.
Right. Right.
It's awesome. So, like, besides that, what does life look like for you today?
My life today is beautiful, man. I also manage a sober house, so I'm constantly revolving around,
Yeah.
addicts early in recovery. So it tests my patience, but it's also a good thing. It's also like it's like nonstop giving away. You know what I mean? And like I said, I never thought I'd be in this position. You know, and like I have my son every week, and like the way it works is like I wasn't able to see my son for 2 Halloweens in a row because of me using, and like this year, like I still don't even know what my son was for Halloween, like you know what I mean, before, and like I got to pick out my son's costume this year, and like you know what I mean, I had
What'd he
my
go
son
as?
for a Superman, of course,
Nice.
you know,
Nice.
so like I had that opportunity of doing that and like being there, you know what I mean, and being present for not only my friends but my family, and being able to travel, man, and like see things, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's crazy. It's
Like,
beautiful.
yeah, like get out of that small little world we live in.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's insane. Like you talked about, like that family.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, this beginning of your story, your family's tired, and now you're able
Right.
to be a part of it.
Right. And that's like working this program, seeing why my family was so dysfunctional because of everything that went on, and my father's one of us that never got help, and like seeing that my father didn't, like, instead of resenting him like my whole life because he raised me the way he raised me, and like I couldn't see it until I came into the program and I got some time that like my father didn't know how to raise me because he didn't have a father, and like
Yeah.
you know what I mean, certain things like that like changed my whole outlook. And like I can sit with my family for days and like be okay and content and not trying to get anything from them. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I send my mom money today. You know what I
awesome.
mean? Like that's crazy. I've never done that in my life.
No.
You know?
But those are like the real gifts.
Those are the realest gifts there are. You
It's
know what I
not
mean?
Jordans and flat brims.
No, and that's what's changed for me now. You know what I mean? I'm all
Yeah.
about like, I'm not about the materialistic things anymore, man. I used to be. I used to be about Jordans. I used to be about flyest clothes, all these things, man. Like, dude, this is like what I wear to work, dude. I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care about it no more, man. Like, it doesn't fill my void. Like, yeah, I love to go shopping. I love to do all these things, but I just don't do them like I used to. You know what I mean?
You own your things don't own you.
Exactly, you know? So like I just try to like I try to be realistic, and I try to like if I buy myself something, I buy my son something. That's where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just try to be there for my family. Like, 'cause like showing up not only for like addicts but like also for my family. Like that's how it's played in my life. You know?
So, if you can give any advice to families, because there could be families that are watching this, their son, their daughter, their husband, their wife, whatever is struggling with addiction. Like, what was the route that you see worked the best with trying to get them help, or even what worked best with you?
My mother enabled me for a really long time, and it really led me to just doing whatever I wanted, and just having that constant fallback on my mother, being able to fall back to her, you know. The second my mother cut me off, wouldn't send me money, wouldn't let me go see her or my family or come over to her house, and literally just cut me off of the face of the earth, and would talk to me on the phone, but that's it, nothing more.
Yeah.
That's when I felt the pain and the gift of desperation and finally do something. You know what I mean? And like not having anything to fall back on is what like helped for me. Like that thick, rough love. You know what I mean?
No, completely. And I know that's tough for families, especially because, my mom dealt with it too.
Right.
She was an enabler for a very long time until they figured out, like, enabling is just going to kill me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's something that I feel like a lot of parents need to hear. Necessarily they don't really want to hear.
Right.
Because I've seen it over and over, and I'm sure you have too. Of they stick with that. Okay, I'm not going to enable them, and then a month later, it's right back to what it was.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, that's like that's what works best for me. What has worked best for me. Because up until this time, my mom's always been my enabler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even when it came to like being sober for a little bit, you know what I mean? My mom was still an enabler. She would send me money and bail me out of like problems, financial problems, and like a while ago she like cut me off from all that and like doesn't help me, and like that helped me become financially okay, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because now you're forced to actually.
Exactly. Do things on my own.
Yeah.
And like now I'm like sending my own mom money instead of like vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. And like now, like I can ask my mom if I have a problem like with my car or something, like, and I need money right away, like she'll send me the money and I can send it right back to her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that trust has been developed now.
Yeah, it's not just take anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so proud. So now today you are now financially stable, right? You're working a job that you sound really passionate about.
Yep.
You are helping other young men in recovery. And like that's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like you ever think about that?
I
like
do all the time.
Like I think about it like I'll wake up in the morning and I'll just like look at myself in the mirror when I'm getting ready.
Yep.
And I'm like, how did I end up here?
I know.
Like seriously.
It blows my mind. It blows my mind, man. I was searching for a place to move out of sober living, and I found a place, and I was with another recovering addict who has a big house, right? Like a 2-story house, lives by himself, and like just told, like I was walking around, we made a deal of how much I'm gonna pay, and like me having my kid over because he has a son the same age, and like he was like, this house is your house now, and like, dude, I'm walking around and I like want to cry. I'm like, dude, I've never been trusted like this. You know what I mean? And people can vouch for me now.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Right? Like the fact of like, I know for me when I was back home, not everybody was particularly happy when I came around.
No.
It wasn't like, oh, awesome, Bobby's here.
Right.
It's like, Bobby's here.
Exactly.
This isn't good. Yeah. Like, everybody grab your wallets.
Right.
Like, make sure nothing's around.
Exactly.
Like,
all the
okay.
energy sucked out of the room.
Yeah. When I go into the bathroom, you better keep clapping your hands so we know you're not stealing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. And now it's the fact of, like, you know, I have keys to my parents' house.
Right.
You know, I could just drop by my grandma's house whenever I want.
Exactly.
If I'm back home. You know what I mean? It's like these, like, little things that kind of, to normal people, are like, yeah.
Right.
But like to have lost all that and then gain it back is something. It's in.
That's the most beautifulest thing about the program. The gifts and the promises they all talk about. It's not getting a fancy car and job. It's like getting the normal society person back. You know what I mean? Like the lifestyle and like everything that we should have had, but we screwed it all up. For me, at least. You know what I mean?
No, I get it completely. You know what I mean? I get it. So anything else that you want to throw out there? If like somebody's struggling, anything like that?
All I can say is just ask for help. That's it. Get vulnerable. You know what I mean? Put your hand out there and like reach out and try to do what you don't want to do and get uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Because like if you're gonna stay comfortable, you're not gonna go anywhere, and nothing changes if nothing changes.
Ooh, ooh. So when we're talking about uncomfortable, what are we talking about? Are we talking about moving away? Are we talking about
willing to do something that like you haven't done?
Okay.
You know, willing to face your fear, and like if you're like comfortable staying at home and just using or doing whatever you're doing, get outside yourself and go somewhere where you've never been, whether it's treatment, whether it's a meeting by yourself. You know what I mean?
No.
And put your hand up and say you're new. You know what I mean?
I know that's huge too. Like people, they'll go to treatment, but they'll just go back home and they won't go to meetings. They won't do anything to kind of further what they've been learning there.
Right.
And then they come back and they don't understand what happened.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And like I've seen a lot of people become jaded.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and that's like another big thing for them to hear, because I know for me, I didn't get it on my first shot.
No, not at all.
I know very, very few people that have gotten on their first shot, and like I think it means if you're about to get treatment your first time, or like you're thinking about it, it's not impossible. Like relapse isn't a requirement.
Right.
You know what I mean? But also for the people that, this is their third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, going back into treatment, like don't think about what am I not, or I can run all these groups, or I can do all this.
Exactly. You got to be able to relearn things, and like, you know what I mean? Especially like for me, I had to relearn everything this time. I thought I knew everything.
Oh, 100%.
I had to relearn everything and completely stay open-minded and like vigilant on like where I was at. You know?
That and like look at the things that I didn't do.
Exactly.
Because I was so quick to say, no, I did this. I was going to meetings
Right.
or I was talking and I was doing all this work. And then like when you cut through it, I was only doing half of those things.
Exactly.
You know, like I was just showing up. I wasn't present.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was talking to people, but not about like the honesty, not about the truth.
Right.
You know, I was doing the I'm fine.
Exactly.
Don't worry about
You're
me.
just living the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living the dream
Yeah.
code.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, so it's like another huge thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure you see it at work.
Yeah.
I see it at work all the time. Of just,
People don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, but like when like the way I was taught was like when the pain gets great enough, maybe you'll talk about it. You know what I mean? And sometimes people don't. Some people just take it with them. And like, you know, like what I was told like before was like secrets die in the light, and if you don't let them out, then you know you're only as sick as your secrets. You know.
And another thing that was told to me at least is when I knew I was obviously lying, and it's like the only person you're hurting is yourself.
Exactly.
Like my life goes on.
Exactly.
You know, I'm doing this to help. If you don't want the help, like my life is going to continue to do what I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're the one who suffers, and I feel like not a lot of people get that.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I mean, like, you know, your problems are not going to affect my problems in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might, like, I might care about you and, like, you know what I mean? Like, try to do something to make it better, but, like, at the end of the day, you're the one hurting and not me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In that aspect, as far as that goes. You know?
And I don't know. It's one of those things that I talk about a lot because I want people to understand that, like, this isn't a death sentence.
Right.
You know what I mean? That like if you don't get treatment the first time or the second time or whatever, it doesn't mean that you're doomed.
No, not at all.
You
Not
know?
at all. That's what I thought. I convinced myself that too. For a while,
100%.
I let my relapses define me.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know?
just the whole like I'm not worth getting sober,
Exactly.
but you are.
Exactly. Everybody is.
You know, it's one of those things that like
And
it
everybody's capable of it.
yeah.
It's just a matter of doing it, you know, and taking the suggestions and following, like, the path.
There's always hope.
Always.
Manny, awesome to have you on though. I'm really happy. It wasn't that bad, right? You kind of loosened up a little. It's all good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
You know, real quick, we got like 30 seconds. Anything else you want to get out there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, staying humble, staying vigilant, and just I had to remind myself I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't know anything. I thought I knew everything, but I didn't know anything. And I had to relearn. I had to relearn everything as far as financial, recovery, spirituality, all those things.
Awesome. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Not at all. All right, so thank you, Manny. To everybody out there, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, AKA the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.